Okay. So for me, I also normally have a communication plan, right? So as I've said earlier, uh, normally I have a stakeholder matrix, right? So all of my major sponsors and all of the resources that are included in the project team, I keep a matrix or a list of all of them so that when I do a communication plan or a status report, all of them should be included in that status report. So the communication plan this time is something that will be an attachment or an appendix to your project plan, which is your true contract with your stakeholders. So here you can identify the stakeholders that needs to be notified, and you can come up with the communication matrix. So the project plan, as we have mentioned, what's important is to have a work breakdown structure or list down all of the tasks. And once you come up with a complete task list, you can come up with your schedule. And then you will produce your communication plan who needs to be updated during the progress of the project. So once the project plan is signed off, right, we now go to the execution phase. And during the execution phase, of course, it will not be always smooth. There will be some hiccups during the implementation, and there will be issues that will happen during the course of the project. And this time, you will have to take note of all those issues and list, and you will come up with the action items for each of the issues that are encountered in the execution of your project. So you will have something like this, an action and issue register. So you will have a date when it should be addressed, right? So you will also classify the priority of those issues or risks that needs to be addressed. This is like a logbook of all the issues and action items. And as I've mentioned, in your communication plan, and that's part of your communication plan is your status report, which should also be uh, attached as an appendix to your project plan on how you will do your status report. So as you can see here, this is the basic of a project status report. You should have a description of what project you're publishing, the timelines, the progress, the deadlines, the issues, and of course the next steps or action items that needs to be done during each phase of the project or as the project progresses, uh, weekly, monthly, after 3 months. So you will have to publish a status report for each of those durations. So as you can see, this is a major uh, undertaking of a project engineer or project manager of updating the stakeholders of your project. So during your execution, these are the things that you will have to produce: the action issues register, and of course, the status report. By the way, as I've said earlier, when we produce the project plan, that the project plan is your binding contract with your stakeholders, right? So basically what I'm saying is the requirements that are listed in your project plan are the things that you will have to deliver. And once the project plan is signed off by the stakeholders, there should be no changes. But in the real world, it doesn't happen, right? Normally, changes happen. So now once we're done with the execution phase, we all the things that were uh, published in your project plan, we already executed and then completed most of the major tasks in the project. We now come to the closing phase, right? So this is where we will have to review if all the requirements that were published in your project plan have been met. So, and in this review, you will have to discuss what went right and what went wrong. And after the final review, you will come up with the lessons learned on what happened when we implemented this project or program. So as you can see, for me, I normally come up with a lessons learned document. And this is also published to my stakeholders so that this will be an important document that will be captured and put into the repository as something that PMs that will be doing other projects in the future can look at, so that they will have a better understanding if it's a similar project of what went wrong and what went right during the course of a specific program. And then once you are done with the final review, we have to close the project, right? And in the corporate world, we normally have a project approval document or a closing document. So once all the requirements are met and we are ready to turn over the project to operations, each major stakeholder and each of the project team will have to sign off to the document, the closing document. And this will be the document that tells everybody that the project is already finished and done. So it's already closed. So as we have said earlier, the project is just temporary and it should have a beginning and an end. And then the final review, of course, will include each and every comment on the lessons learned. And all of these things would be included in your project approval document.